talked to a lot of people, a lot of Democrats recently. I said, why don't we change it? We could make Obamacare much better. We could come up with a new system that would be much better, less expensive for the people and better. This is maybe the biggest breakthrough because, you know, when you're talking about the prescription drugs, that's a big part of it. So we're going to look. This is prescription, but we're going to be looking at that. We could come up and through this whole thing, you know, because I don't know, we'll probably have a shutdown because one of the things they want to do is they want to give incredible Medicare, the Cadillac Medicare, to illegal immigrants. And what that does is it keeps them coming into our country, and like they do in California. And no country can afford that. No country. And we have the border stopped up. We have it closed. We have nobody for 4 months. Zero people came in. That wasn't me. That's by the authorities who happen to be liberally oriented. But just think of that. We have people offering health care to people all over the world that they can't afford to pay. And that's the Democrats. And what that does is it brings people into the country because they want to come in for the health care. But no country can afford it, and they can't afford it. So we cannot allow them to charge tremendous amounts of money for health care for people that aren't even citizens. And in many cases, they come in from prisons, jails, and mental institutions. And we can't let that happen. So we have a big fight over that. We have a fight over open borders. They still want open borders. We're having a fight over men and women's sports, if you believe it. You would have thought they would have learned that it's not a good issue. And we have a fight in transgender, as you know, transgender for everybody. And that, when you talk medically, that's a lot of money, too. That's a lot. Those operations are bad. So those things are also being discussed right now. I mean, can you imagine we're actually talking about open borders, and we now have a great border, and we have a great country. Our country was dead 1 year ago. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. Big difference. Yeah.
What does it say about the state of the Democrat Party when they have a 33% favorability rating on average in recent months, and they're willing to shut down the government over health care?
They are shutting it down. We're not shutting it down. We don't want it to shut down because we have the greatest period of time ever. I told you, we have $17 trillion being invested, so the last person that wants it shut down is us. Now, with that being said, we can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like. And you all know Russell Vought. He's become very popular recently because he can trim the budget to a level that you couldn't do any other way. So they're taking a risk by having a shutdown because of the shutdown, we can do things medically and other ways, including benefits. We can cut large numbers of people out. We don't want to do that, but we don't want fraud, waste, and abuse. And, you know, we're cutting that. But they want to have illegal aliens come into our country and get massive health care at the cost to everybody else, and we don't have it. And that's I would say, the number one reason that they want to strike is to get illegal immigrants health care. And, you know, Gavin Newsom wants that, too, in California, and it's destroying California. We can't have that. We're not going to let it happen.
Do you have a plan for dealing with drug companies that are responding to MFN only by raising prices overseas as opposed to lowering prices in the U.S.?
No, they're responding. I understand that question very well, but they're responding by lowering prices. They're helped by lowering prices. You know, there's a price at which they can't sell, and they're helped by lowering prices. In the case of Albert and in the case of Eli Lilly, the fact is our prices are coming down massively. You see, that's just a few of the basics, but they're coming down much more than that with many drugs, and over 1,000%. Think of that, over 1,000% reduction. And we'll show you that next week because we have some of them on the board next week where you have over 1,000% price reduction. No, what's going to happen is you're going to have the market will kick in. This way, the market kicks in. The other way, it was just basically it was just a form of control. You were stifling the market. Yeah.
Following up on Brian,
at this point, is a shutdown inevitable? And how would you describe the negotiations with Democrats yesterday? Are more meetings scheduled?
So nothing is inevitable, but I would say it's probably likely because they want to give health care to illegal immigrants, which will destroy health care for everybody else in our country. And I didn't see them bend even a little bit when I said we can't do that. Okay?
Can I ask a question? question of Dr. Oz, Administrator
Yes.
Oz. If there is no deal reached on the Obamacare subsidies with the Democrats, is there anything that CMS can do to lower those, to mitigate the increases of those Obamacare subsidies?
Not really, but we have time. We have time till the end of the year to make the changes I know the president is evaluating, but we should have a clean continuing resolution, get past this budget process as it has happened so many times, and allow the president and leadership some freedom to be able to put some good ideas in front of the legislative bodies.
President, undocumented immigrants,
We actually do have time for that.
they're not eligible for the health care subsidies that Democrats are demanding. So can you clarify, what are you talking about when you say Democrats want to protect their health care?
So when an illegal person comes in, a person who came into our country illegally, therefore breaking the law, and look, we all have big hearts. I have a bigger heart than you do. They're all breaking the law, and they're coming into our country. And we just, as a country, cannot afford to take care of millions of people who have broken the law coming in. We want them to come into our country, but we want them to come in legally. Now we have a strong border, very strong border, thanks to Christie and Tom Homan and the whole group. They've done an amazing job at the border. I mean, we had a border that was reckless. We had a border that was a disaster. They were coming in by the millions. I say 25 million people. You're saying less, but I say 25 million people came in illegally. And no system can take care of the health care of all of those people that came in. Now, a lot of them have gone out. We have over 11,000 murderers. We got many of them out. Many of those people have been taken out of the country, brought back to where they came from. In some cases, put in prison because they're so dangerous. We don't want to take them out. We have to watch them. We don't want them coming back. But if you look at what's happened in Washington, D.C. right now, it is such a place. I just drove through it, and it's clean and nice and beautiful, and people are walking around, and they're not afraid of being mugged. We haven't had murders. We haven't had anything happen in a long time. It took us 12 days to make it very good. It took us 20 days to make it beautiful. And now we're going to Memphis. But I think we should always keep a presence here, because if we don't keep a presence, it's going to come back never like it was, because we got rid of 1,700 career criminals. You know what that is? One career criminal can give you a lousy reputation for danger, because they commit many crimes a day in some cases. But Washington, D.C. is an unbelievable example of what can happen. And now we're going, as you know, to Memphis, which was very similar to Washington, very dangerous. And we're there, and we're working along very well with the governor, the mayor. A lot of these Democrat mayors, you know what they don't want to have us do well, because if we do well, it makes them look bad, and they shouldn't feel that way. If I were a Democrat and I was a governor or mayor, I'd be calling Trump. I'd say, get your troops over here, just help, because the mayor of Washington is getting a lot of credit for what we did, a lot of credit. But the beauty is, isn't it nice? Seriously, you walk down the street, you're not going to be mugged. You're not going to be hit. We had a meeting about 3-4 months ago, and I was saying to the media, how many of you people have been threatened or mugged or accosted during your walk to the White House? And they said, we don't walk to the White House anymore. But the answer was, remember, Brian, almost everybody's, look at this guy. They even attacked this big, strong guy, right? Didn't you get attacked? Did you? But yeah, just take a look at the other guy, right? What happened to the other guy? I don't know. Those other guys are pretty tough. They're tough with a gun in their hand, right? And yeah, you were hit pretty hard. But almost everybody was. And now, nobody. Anybody been accosted in the last 3 weeks? If I would have said that 6 months ago, half the hands would have been raised out. No, we have a very safe city now. The country's going to be safe. We're doing one at a time, and we'll be going to Chicago. I told you this, sir. Union Pacific, head of the railroad. He knows this country very well. Started off as a very low-rung employee of the Union Pacific. He's now chairman. He came to me and he said, sir, save Chicago. It's a great city. It's going down fast. They had 11 people killed over the last couple of weeks. 11 people killed, 48 shot. That's not a city. It's a war zone. There's no city in the world like that. And then we have to listen to this Pritzker get up. I know him well. They threw him out of his business, and the family threw him out of the business because he's a loser. But we have to listen to Pritzker get up. He should call me and say, get the troops in. You ever hear that? 11 people over a week to a governor say how nice it is. It's a wonderful experience. Now, what is a wonderful experience is D.C. People are eating in the restaurants. They just opened 2 new restaurants, which hasn't worked in years. And we had it pretty good 4 years ago. We were just getting ready to do this, but we did it right. And, you know, we have a big victory in the Supreme Court. It's called merit. And so that includes the military. Our soldiers, did you see what they look like? These guys, they look like serious soldiers. They weren't playing games. And they went in there and they did a fantastic job. And Washington, D.C. is now a beautiful, safe city. The restaurants are thriving. The people are walking down the street holding their husband or their boyfriend's hand, and they're not worried about being raped or mugged or shot at. And it's been an amazing thing. And we'll do that in every city. We'll do them sort of one at a time. We'll do a couple at a time. And we have a tremendous force because, as you know, in recruitment numbers, when we put out, 2 years ago, when Biden would put out recruitment, nobody would join. Nobody wanted to be in the military. Nobody wanted to be police. It was just announced this morning. You probably saw my speech over with the military, with the generals, admirals. Record numbers of people signing up for the Navy, the Army, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force. I love Space Force. That was my baby. But we have record numbers of people signing up, and that includes police department, fire department. So, you know, it's been an amazing thing. Well, we're going to have another meeting next week on this. We have another great company coming in, similar kind of numbers. But we're going to show you some 1,000% drops in prices. There has never been anything like this in the history of medicine, and it's an honor. And Albert, I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody behind me, because you are a great team. We have a great team. Everybody says you have a great cabinet. It's a great team. So thank you, Bobby. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with President Erdogan of Turkey, and we've been friends for a long time, actually, even for 4 years when I was in exile, unfairly, as it turns out. Rigged election, you know, he knows about rigged elections better than anybody. But when I was in exile, we were still friends. That's always a good way to find out, test of friendship. But he's a highly respected man. He's respected very much in his country and all throughout Europe and throughout the world where they know him. He's built a tremendous military, powerful military, uses a lot of our equipment. And it's an honor to have him at the White House. We're going to have a lunch together. We're going to have a discussion, big discussion. We do a lot of trade with Turkey, and we're going to continue. We're going to do some additional trade. They want to buy F-16s, F-35s, and some other things, and we're going to talk to them about that. And we're just going to have, I think, a very interesting couple of hours. We're going to get a lot done. But I have great respect for this man, and we've had a very good relationship for a long time. If you remember, he led Pastor Brunson. He freed Pastor Brunson. Pastor Brunson was put in jail for 35 years before I got there. This was a group that should have stopped it. And the president, after I called him, released him, which was a great thing for our Christian community, our evangelical community. The evangelicals really wanted that. It was very important to him, so I always remembered that. But he released him from 35 years in prison. And Pastor Brunson now is healthy, happy, and well. And we're very happy about that. But it's a great honor to have the President of Turkey with us. And how are you?
Fine.
Say a few words.
And you?
Great guy.
Kelime söylemek isterseniz, bir cümle söylemek isterseniz.
Öncelikle bu ziyaretimizi Birleşmiş Milletler Genel Kurulu'yla iç içe olan bir dönemde gerçekleştirdiğimizden dolayı arkadaşlarımla beraber çok mutluyuz. Gerek Sayın Trump'ın birinci döneminde gerekse ikinci dönemde Türkiye-Amerika ilişkilerinde farklı bir süreci yaşıyoruz. Kendilerinin de az önce ifade ettiği gibi gerek F-35 konusu, gerek F-16 konusu, gerekse Halk Bankası'yla ilgili aramızdaki ilişkiler konusunu bugün etraflıca görüşme fırsatı bulacağımıza inanıyorum. Heybeliada okuluyla ilgili ise orada üzerimize ne düşerse biz onu zaten yapmaya hazırız. Dönünce de Sayın Bartolomeo'yla bu konuyu görüşme fırsatı bulacağım.
First, Mr. President, I am very pleased that this visit actually coincides with the 80th UNGA. So I am very pleased to be here with my colleagues and friends. And as we have said, during the first term of your presidency and during your second term, we are able to carry Turkey and U.S. relations to a much different level and process. And as you've said, we have an opportunity here today to be able to discuss some of the issues regarding the F-35, the F-16, and also the Halkbank case, and we will have an opportunity to thoroughly discuss them. And based on what you have mentioned regarding the Heybeliada school, we are ready to do whatever we can that falls on our part, and I will, when I get back, try to discuss this issue with the esteemed Mr. Bartholomos to discuss how we can move forward on that.
Okay, very good. I would like to be able to do that. The Greek Orthodox Church was here, and they would really like to have some help. They need some help, and I said I'd mention it, and we appreciate it. So this is a tough man. This is a guy who's highly opinionated. Usually I don't like opinionated people, but I always like this one. But he's a tough one, and he does an amazing job in his country. And we've had tremendous relationships, both having to do with war and having to do with trade. And I guess today we're talking about both. I'd like to have him stop buying any oil from Russia while Russia continues this rampage against Ukraine. And they've been fighting. They've lost millions of lives already. And for what? You know, for what? It's disgraceful. And I said yesterday, let it keep going because their economy is absolutely terrible right now. And I think it's a shame that they're doing that, killing a lot of people unnecessarily. 7,818 people were killed last week, mostly military people, their people, and Ukrainians. More Russians, actually, than Ukraine, a little bit more. But it's such a waste of human life, and so he ought to stop. Putin ought to stop. And with that, we'll get to a little bit of a discussion. We're going to make some great trade deals for both countries. We do a lot of business with Turkey. They build great products. They build beautiful, great products, really fantastic manufacturers. And we buy a lot from them, and they buy a lot from us. Would you have any questions, please?
Mr. President, thank you very much. You repeatedly called out Obama and Biden administrations for their stupid decisions. One example you gave was a refusal to sell the Patriot missile defense systems to Turkey, which resulted in the expulsion of the country from the F-35 program. Now, you are known to be a great deal maker in Turkey. What can you do to undo the stupidity? Yes, CNN.
CNN? Well, because you sounded like a nice guy, but CNN is fake news. I mean, but you sound like the real deal to me, so I'll answer the question. We're going to be discussing the Patriot system, which is the best system. We'll discuss that. We're going to discuss the F-35. We'll be discussing all of the things that you know about and that some of that you mentioned. And I think he'll be successful with buying the things he'd like to buy.
What concrete steps can you say?
Well, we'll have to see. We haven't even started yet. But I know he wants the F-35, and he's wanted that, and we're talking about that very seriously. And the F-16, we're in great shape. Certain other things he needed, as you know, and I'm going to see to it that we get that to him. He needs certain things, and we need certain things. And we're going to come to a conclusion. You'll know by the end of the day. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, I will walk factories, Mr. President.
Sayın Cumhurbaşkanım, siz Başkan Trump'ın ne kadar barış için çabalar gösterdiğini daha önce de söylemiş bir Cumhurbaşkanısınız. Ve siz de bölgede birçok ülkeyle, birçok liderle görüşmeler, kontaklar kurabiliyorsunuz. Bu konuda birlikte nasıl çalışabilirsiniz gelecekte?
Buna inandığım için zaten bunları söylüyorum. Birlikte el ele bölgedeki bu sıkıntıları aşacağımıza da inanıyorum.
Mr. President, tariffs, Mr. President.
Because I haven't learned his language yet. What did he say?
The gentleman was asking, Mr. President, you have referred to President Trump's peace efforts, and you have also contact with many leaders in the region. And what do you think that you can do about this? And Mr. President has said that, yes, I believe in the peace efforts that President Trump is leading, and together we will be able to overcome the challenges in the region.
I think it's true. He's got tremendous influence in the region. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, when are you planning to lift CAATSA sanctions against Turkey?
Against sanctions against Turkey? Could be very soon. If we have a good meeting, almost immediately.
Mr. President, are you willing to impose tougher sanctions on
Erdogan is
Russia?
removing tariffs on U.S. goods, and what impact it would be in U.S. production?
Where are you from?
Turkey.
I see. We have a lot of people from Turkey here. That's
You are
good. Because I like the
responsible.
questions very much, actually. They're very nice questions. We'll see about tariffs. We're going to be talking about tariffs.
We already removed that.
Well, we're going to be talking about that.
Are you willing to impose tougher sanctions on Russia, even if not all NATO countries stop purchasing Russian oil?
We're going to be seeing about that. The NATO countries were disappointing in that regard, but they've been very amazing in other ways. They did, as you know, they went from 2% to 5% GDP, and that's a big step, and it's paid. I mean, they have the money there. And we're selling a tremendous amount of military equipment to NATO. We're selling. We're not giving like Biden did. We're selling it to NATO, and it's a lot. They're buying a lot, and I assume they're giving it to Ukraine. They could buy it for other reasons too, but I assume they're giving most of it to Ukraine. But they're buying highly sophisticated weaponry, and they're paying for it full price. And that's how we're involved. Biden gave $350 billion. Look, this war would have never started if I were president. If I were president, this war would never be happened. It would have never happened. Yeah.
Mr. President, I would like to ask about Gaza. Are you on the same page, Mr. Erdogan, for Palestine, Israel?
Well, I don't know his stance. I can't tell you about that. I just say that we want to get Gaza over with. I had a great meeting with the leaders of that area, of that region, generally speaking, the Middle East. We had a great meeting the other day at UNGA, as you know, and I think we're close to getting some kind of a deal done. Yeah, we want to get the hostages back. I have to get the hostages back. We're the ones that got the hostages, all of them that we have now. But it looks like there are 20 living hostages and probably 38 or so dead hostages. Pretty sad. And the parents of those dead souls, those dead, mostly men, boys, in many cases like literally boys, they want those bodies back so badly, as much as though they were alive. And so we had a very good meeting with the representatives of the most powerful countries in the Middle East, and I think we're going to be close to a deal.
Mr. President, we've noticed that in the Ukrainian war and during the Israeli-Iran war, the airspace of the NATO countries is very fragile, and it needs to be stronger. And in that sense, Turkey being the second largest army in NATO, it needs to support its air force and air defense. How do you look at this issue in general as a NATO? Because it's the eastern flank of it.
We're in NATO, and you know, they're paying now 5% of GDP. Nobody thought that was possible, and they agreed to that 6 months ago when I was there. And the relationship is very good. The NATO countries, with us, is the strongest it's ever been. We used to complain that they're paying 2%, but they're not paying. The United States was paying almost everything. And now they're paying 5%, and they paid. And that's trillions of dollars. You know, we're talking about trillions of dollars. And they're spending that, giving that money to us, and we are giving them great defensive, you know, the Patriots and all of the different javelins, all the different missile systems and everything else that they want. But it's, it's trillions of dollars. So we appreciate that they did that. So they went from 2% to 5% of GDP, and that was something that nobody even would bring up. Biden should have brought it up a long time ago, because under Biden, we paid $350 billion, and all it did is make things worse. So we'll see how it goes. Go ahead, just finish. Yeah, go ahead.
35s to Turkey. Fighter jets, F-35s.
We're talking about the fighter jets for Turkey. Yes, we are.
Are we going to see any steps going to be taken Biden today about the issue, about the things that are going on in the Gaza, Palestine? Are you going to?
It could be today. Yeah, it could be today. We have a very strong dialogue going on with Saudi Arabia. With, I would say, you have 4 or 5 real leaders that are being good. As you know, I met with Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE. We met with Jordan. The King of Jordan was there. We had a really great meeting. I think a lot was determined at that meeting. And I have to meet with Israel, and I have to do that also. They know what I want, and I think we can get that one done. I hope we can get it done. A lot of people are dying. But we want the hostages back. We don't want them back 1 this week, 1 and 2 months from now, 3 later, and like the way it's been going. We got them all back. We got a lot of them back. We got the American Alexander. We got the American hostages back. But we have now 20 plus 38 bodies, dead bodies, and we want them all back. And we want them back at one time.
President Erdogan will help to release the hostages?
Do I think what?
Do you think President Erdogan will help to release the hostages?
I don't know if he'll help in that. I don't really think we have. I don't think it'll be necessary in this case. I think we're going to be in a pretty good position. There are a lot of people that want that done. I met with great leaders. Look, you saw the people that were there, and great leaders. Egypt was also represented. We met with the leaders of that part of the world, and they want to see if they can get something done. And I'm going to have to tell Israel, let's go. We want to get the hostages back. Everybody wants to see that war over with, by the way. Everybody. So we're going to see what happens.
Mr. President.
How do you see a joint initiative with President Erdogan to bring the President of Russia, Putin, and President Zelensky to the negotiating table?
Well, I can tell you that President Erdogan is very respected by both of them. Everybody respects Erdogan. They really respect Erdogan. I do. And I think he could have a big influence if he wants to. Right now, he's very neutral. He likes being neutral. So do I like being neutral. But he's somebody that if he got involved, the best thing he could do is not buy oil and gas from Russia. If he did that, that would be probably the best thing. He knows Putin like I know Putin. I thought Putin, I settled, as you know, 7 wars, and it's probably more than that if you really want to know the real facts, but 7 wars, and I thought this would be among the easier ones to settle. But I'm very disappointed in Putin. And he's been fighting hard, he's been fighting long, and they lost millions, they lost like 1 million soldiers. And with all of the heavy bombardment over the last 2 weeks, they've gained almost no land. Think of that. They've gained almost no land. And I'm not going to ever call anybody a paper tiger, but Russia spent millions and millions of dollars in bombs, missiles, ammunition, and lives, their lives. And they've gained virtually no land. I think it's time to stop. I really do.
A few months ago, you met with Aliyev and Pashinyan. Can you follow up
So
on
where?
You met with Aliyev and Pashinyan, Azerbaijan President Aliyev and Pashinyan. Can you follow up on what you want to say about current process?
No, I can't.
Mr. President,
I like this guy. I like him. He's from CNN. Fake news, the worst fake news, but I like him. So it's CNN Turkey. I'll get Brian. Sorry, go.
Syria has been a major issue between the two countries for the past decades. And you said the future of Syria is in Erdogan's hands back in, I think, December and January. And the countries are in the process of integrating regional fractures into the main government. When do you want to see that happen?
Well, I think President Erdogan is the one responsible for Syria, for the successful fight in ridding Syria of its past leader And I think this man is responsible. He doesn't take the responsibility, but it's actually a great achievement. They've been trying to do it for 2,000 years. I said, he does it. He did it. I mean, they're your surrogates. I think you should take the credit for it. I told him, take the credit. For 2,000 years, you've been trying to take over Syria. He took over Syria, and he doesn't want to take the credit. You know, all of those people are his surrogates. But the leader of Syria, the new leader, as you know, I took sanctions off in order to let them breathe because the sanctions were very strong. But I think we should have a major announcement today. He was responsible for that victory. It was a victory for Turkey because they've been fighting, as you know, for like 1,000 years. And it never went, you know, it was back and forth, but he's responsible for that. So he would have a lot to say with respect to Syria. But at his request, I took, and the request also of the King of Saudi Arabia, it's very interesting, and Qatar, they said if you could take the sanctions. We had very strong sanctions. They couldn't have lived with those sanctions, and I took them off to give them a chance to breathe. But the president was one of the people that was responsible for that. He asked me to do it.
Mr. President, furloughs are very typical when the government shuts down. Why is the administration directing federal layoffs of federal workers this time around?
Well, this is all caused by the Democrats. They asked us to do something that's totally unreasonable. They never change. They want to give money away to illegally, people that entered our country illegally. They want to give them massive federal money. And we don't want to do that because it means everyone's going to just keep pouring back. Right now we have absolutely perfect borders like you haven't seen in many years. Even better than I had great borders during my 4 years, but these borders are stone cold closed. You can only come into our country legally now. But the Democrats want to give it all away. They want to open up the borders. Take a look at that. Big thing. They want to open borders again. After what we're going through now, getting rid of prisoners, getting rid of all of these people dropped out from mental institutions, drug dealers, drug addicts, everything. They're putting everybody into our country. It's all ended now. But this is what Schumer wants. This is what the Democrats want. They want to have, and they want to take our money. We're doing well because of tariffs. We're doing unbelievable. We're making more money than we ever have made. And by the way, we're going to take some of that tariff money that we made, just to get off the subject for a second. We're going to take some of that tariff money that we made. We're going to give it to our farmers, who are, for a little while, going to be hurt until it kicks in. The tariffs kick into their benefit. So we're going to make sure that our farmers are in great shape because we're taking in a lot of money. We're finding. The other day, it was very interesting. They found $31 billion. They said, sir, we found 31. I said, you mean positively, right? They said, yeah, 31 million more than we knew. And they said, we don't know where it came from. I said, check the tariff shelf. They came back the following morning. They said, you're right, sir, it came from the tariffs. We've never seen anything like this. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking some money from all of the tariff money that we've taken, and we're going to distribute it to our farmers until the tariffs kick into their benefit, which ultimately the farmers are going to be making a fortune. But it's a process of, it has to kick in. All right, maybe one more.
There was another shooting at an ICE facility in Texas yesterday. Detainees were killed. The FBI director posted on social media bullets that were engraved with the message anti-ICE. He just posted another thing on social media saying they recovered a handwritten note from the subject that read, hopefully this will give ICE agents real terror to think, is there a sniper with AP rounds on that roof? Who do you hold responsible for the uptick in left-wing violence in the country?
Radical left rhetoric. The radical left is causing the problem. They're out of control. They're saying things, and they're really dumb people. I mean, I look at Crockett. I look at some of these people. They're very low IQ people, actually. But the radical left is causing this problem, not the right, the radical left. And it's going to get worse, and ultimately it's going to go back on them. I mean, bad things happen when they play these games. And I'll give you a little clue. The right is a lot tougher than the left. But the right's not doing this. They're not doing it, and they better not get them energized because it won't be good for the left. And I don't want to see that happen either. I'm the president of all the people. But the radical left is causing this. Radical left Democrats are causing this problem, and it gets worse. It gets worse, and it'll be a point where other people won't take it anymore, and that will not be good for the radical left. And we don't want that. Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, it seems like an indictment on James Comey is imminent. Would this be the first step in accountability for pushing the hoax of Russia, along with Barack Obama involved as well?
Well, I can't tell you what's going to happen because I don't know. You have very professional people headed up by the Attorney General, Todd Blanche, and Lindsay Halligan, who's a very smart, good lawyer, very good lawyer. They're going to make a determination. I'm not making that determination. I think I'd be allowed to get involved if I want, but I don't really choose to do so. I can only say that Comey's a bad person. He's a sick person. I think he's a sick guy, actually. He did terrible things at the FBI. And but I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. Thank you very much, everybody. Well, it's a great honor to have the Prime Minister and the Crown Prince of Bahrain. That's a fancy two titles, I want to tell you. I don't know if I'd rather be the Prime Minister or the Crown Prince. I think I'd take the Crown Prince. And very importantly, your son, your beautiful son, who has a great reputation, you know that.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Great reputation as a smart, hardworking guy, so it's good to say hello to you. Congratulations. We've had a tremendous relationship, I have personally, with Bahrain over the years, and has been a fantastic ally. And anything they needed, we helped them, and anything we needed, they helped us. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, including the most perfect military maneuver that anybody's seen probably in 50 years, which took place a few weeks ago, and Iran knocked out their entire potential nuclear capacity. And it was obliterated. You know, I used that term. They said, well, maybe that's too much. I said, no, it turned out it was more than obliterated. They can't go back. And we're just really going to talk about some things, including trade. We're going to be discussing trade. We do a lot of trading with Bahrain. And we're going to have lunch after this, but we'll take some questions. At first, I'd like to ask the Crown Prince to say a couple of words. And he also has a father who's living and well and doing fantastically, as I understand it.
He is.
And somebody who's respected all over the Middle East and all over the world. And thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, one and all. It is indeed a great honor to be here on this fine morning to put into action the relationship that exists between our two countries. We will be discussing security issues, we'll be discussing trade and investment, which is very important. We're very happy to be announcing $17 billion worth of deals that are coming to the United States, and this is real. This isn't.
It's real money.
These aren't fake deals. These are real deals.
They don't have to borrow the money.
We don't have to borrow it. It's coming in, and it only builds upon a legacy that we're very proud of. We have had a relationship in the civil side between our two countries since 1893, and formally since 1948. So may it long continue, and we look forward to many, many more years of productive partnership. Thank you, Mr. President.
We will have
you
that.
honor us.
We will have that indeed. We'll have many good years, and I'd say right now is your top year, and we appreciate the investment. It's a great. We left, as you know, Saudi Arabia. We were just there in Saudi Arabia, and Qatar was so great. League was great. We had UAE. We had a couple of other visits, but all great places, and we left with $5.1 trillion of investment, and they all want to be investing in the United States. We have, I think we have over $16 trillion of investment coming in, which is a record, and we're only a little bit into the year. And let's say the first 2 months I sort of took it easy because we had to fix up the Oval Office. I had to devote my time to fixing it up, but now we had to fix up our country. So we have, I think everyone is saying we have the hottest country now anywhere in the world. We were dead a year ago. We are a dead country. And now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and it's a great honor to have you here.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Any questions?
Can you discuss on the developments in Syria at the moment?
Well, I can comment. I think I'll ask Marco to say a few words on Syria.
Yeah, it's complicated, obviously. These are historic, long-time rivalries between different groups in the south-west of Syria, Bedouins, the Druze community, and it led to an unfortunate situation and a misunderstanding, it looks like, between the Israeli side and the Syrian side. So we've been engaged with them all morning long and all night long with both sides, and we think we're on our way towards a real de-escalation and then hopefully get back on track in helping Syria build a country and arriving at a situation there in the Middle East is far more stable. So in the next few hours, we hope to see some real progress to end what you've been seeing over the last couple hours.
Mr. President Jerome Powell, do you have plans, or you're back considering firing Jerome Powell? What's your justification if you're thinking about this?
Well, he's too late. He's always been too late, hence his nickname, Too Late. He should have cut interest rates a long time ago. Europe has cut them 10 times in the short period of time, and we cut them none. The only time he cut them was just before the election to try and help Kamala or Biden, whoever the hell it was, because nobody really knew. Obviously, that didn't work, but he tried to cut them for the Democrats, Kamala. And how did that work out? You'll tell me. It didn't work out too well, did it? But he's I think he does a terrible job. He's costing us a lot of money. And we fight through it. It's almost, the country's become so successful that it doesn't have a big impact, but it does hurt people wanting to get a mortgage. People want to buy a house. He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in and extended him, but they did. So, no, we're not planning on doing anything. We're very concerned. He's doing a little renovation for $2.5 billion of the Fed, building a renovation, and they have a close to $900 million cost overrun, and it's a shame. But the biggest cost overrun is the cost overrun for interest rates, because we should be paying 3 points lower, and we would save $1 trillion a year in interest if that were the case. And all it is the stroke of a pen. And that goes for his board too, because his board is not doing the job, because they should try and rein this guy in. So he's doing a lousy job, but no, I'm not talking about that. Fortunately, we get to make a change in the next, 8 months or so. And we'll pick somebody that's good, and we'll pick somebody. I just want a fair job. We want to see lower interest rates. Our country deserves it. We're making a lot of money. We're doing great as a country. We have no inflation. Record stock market, record business, record everything. Everything's a record now. We had the worst inflation in history under Biden, and now we have almost no inflation. We've done a great job, and we should have the interest rates cut.
So you're saying the other day that Scott Bessent, you're so happy with the Treasury that he's not your top option to replace Jerome Powell, whenever that may be, whenever you decide what you want to do with him.
No, Scott's doing a very good job. No, I'm very happy with Scott, which I'd rather keep him. Kevin's somebody would consider. Kevin is fantastic, too. We have a lot of good people for that job. It's not a tough job, to be honest. Assuming you're smart, it's not a tough job. If you're a dummy, then I guess it's a tough job. But it might be one of the easiest jobs I've ever seen. And now on top of it, he's building a close to $3 billion little nest egg for himself. He's not doing the right job. We should be saving $1 trillion a year in interest. When he talks about cost, we should be saving. Think of it, $1 trillion a year. Add that with the tariffs and everything else. But he just doesn't want. He's a knucklehead. But we'll see how that. We'll see how he's listening to this. That's a strange conversation. But we like to say it like it is. But we have a lot of people that want that job very badly. And I'm only interested in low-interest people, frankly, because you don't need. I know. So they had the 71 different economists and people experts that they picked about a month ago. I was the only one, along with one person from maybe the Wharton School of Finance. The two of us got it right. 69 people, including Powell, got it wrong. And he wants to hire thousands of new people to help him decide where we're going in the future. It only takes one good mind. It doesn't take 5,000 good minds. So they're expanding the Fed. It's the dumbest thing I've heard of. But you know, it's very autonomous.
Just to follow up on that, sir, are you completely ruling out the idea of firing Jerome Powell?
I don't rule out anything, but I think it's highly unlikely unless he has to leave for fraud. I mean, it's possible there's fraud involved with the $2.7 billion renovation. This is a renovation. How do you spend $2.7 billion? And he didn't have proper clearance, et cetera, et cetera. So you know that's going on. So you know there could be something to that, but I think he's not doing a good job. He's got a very easy job to do. You know what he has to do? Lower interest rates. No, I haven't drafted a letter.
So you didn't show a letter to Republican lawmakers last night?
No, I talked about the concept of fire him. I said, what do you think? Almost every one of them said I should. But I'm more conservative than they are.
Mr. President?
No, we didn't. We talked about it. In fact, we had 11 of the 12 people here yesterday for a very big bill having to do with crypto, etc., and other things. And all of the votes are going with us, every single vote. But during the conversation, when we were talking about it, I asked, what would you do about that? They all said would fire him.
Mr. President?
Yeah, please.
Thank you for taking my question. So you were in Pennsylvania yesterday and you
Yes.
unveiled $92 billion worth of investments.
Yeah.
One of those jumped out to $15 billion in Homer City to build the largest natural
Right.
gas
Yeah.
power plant ever. I was at the rally where you told Homer City residents that you would not forget them when the biggest coal plant in Pennsylvania
That's right.
closed down. Delivered for them yesterday. What message do you have for those
Well, I'm
residents?
happy. Homer City, I was there and I said, I'm going to produce something, I don't know what, because they had shut down this massive coal plant, one of the biggest in the country. And it was just purchased by the gentleman that you met yesterday, a very substantial man. I don't know if he's maybe not as substantial as you, I'm not sure. But he's pretty substantial. You know who I'm talking about. And they're going to spend billions of dollars on rebuilding it, and it's going to be the largest plant of its kind in the world, I believe, actually in the world. And it's going to be great. So we really fulfilled that promise to Homer City, but it's to Pennsylvania, basically. I won Pennsylvania, and very conclusively won Pennsylvania. So I owe them a big debt of gratitude. But thank you for bringing that up. We raised 92. It's actually going over 100. So it'll be over $100 billion to be invested in Pennsylvania. It was Pennsylvania Energy Project. So we had, everybody was there. Larry Fink was there. I mean, everybody was there and done a great job. The senator did a great job. And we were very proud. That was a great meeting yesterday. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, for each of you, so for the Crown Prince, are you planning on taking any of the Patriot missiles that you're going to receive from the United States and divert those to help Ukraine?
We have no current plans, as we have an operational requirement inside Bahrain to keep them there for the present time, at least.
He's got plenty of them, too.
And Mr. President, on the fentanyl
And
bill,
They're wonderful. They're wonderful pieces of kit.
They work very well.
American technology is the best.
Yep.
and on the fentanyl bill that you're
And that's
signing.
maybe the most important part of this. He has his choice of everything, and we make the best military equipment by far in the
Bar
world.
none.
There's nothing close, right?
Bar none.
Yeah. Thank you.
And on the fentanyl bill that you're signing today, do you hope that that's going to restart law enforcement cooperation with China on getting the fentanyl?
Yeah, I think China's been helping out. I mean, it's been a terrible situation for many years with fentanyl, but since I came here, we're talking to them, and they're making big steps. They're also, as you know, being penalized. You know that, right? They're being penalized with tariffs because of the fentanyl, but they want to do something. We'll see what happens.
Mr. President.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. An American from Tampa was beaten to death, was killed by Israeli settlers in the West Bank. His family has been calling on you to help prosecute his killers. Are you going to do that, American from Tampa?
Yeah, your first sentence is really. Go ahead.
An American citizen from Tampa, Florida, has been killed in the West Bank. His family has been asking you to prosecute him. Are you going to help?
Do you know about
Yeah,
this?
well, so first of all, if you've seen yesterday, Ambassador Huckabee has asked the Israelis to conduct an investigation. We want to get all the information about who was involved. We protect all American citizens anywhere in the world, especially if they're unjustly murdered or killed. So we're gathering more information, but I hope you saw yesterday Ambassador Huckabee in Israel asked the Israeli authorities to produce an investigation and concrete information about who was responsible for his murder.
They're reporting that tomorrow. We have a meeting on it. They're going to be reporting that to me. Yeah.
Do you think that the Gulf area now is more secure, and do you believe that a negotiation with Iran is necessary at this stage?
Well, I definitely believe that the volatility of the situation has been reduced. And we didn't know where it was going to go on the Sunday. We were very glad when we found out on the Monday. Let me put it that way. And should the Iranians want to negotiate, I believe the ball's in their court. That is the true reality of where we stand today. They are the ones that stand to benefit from a negotiation.
And they do. They want to negotiate. They want to negotiate badly. We're in no rush because, we said we could have made a deal. They should have made a deal. And then we bombed the hell out of their various places. We're in no rush, but if they want to negotiate, we're here. Yeah.
Mr. President, I know you want to move past all this intrigue over the Epstein files, but I do want to ask you to clarify something you said this morning. You said this was all a hoax. Has your attorney
It's a big
general
hoax.
told you this was a hoax? What evidence?
No, it's not the Attorney General. No, I know it's a hoax. It's started by Democrats. It's been run by the Democrats for 4 years. You had Christopher Wray and these characters and Comey before him. And it's a bad group. It started, actually, look at the Steele dossier. That turned out to be a total hoax. The 51 agents, the intelligence, so-called intelligence agents, it was a hoax. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats. And some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work. The Democrats are good for nothing other than these hoaxes. They're bad for policy. They're bad for picking candidates that can get elected. Like in New York, we have a communist running. He may get elected too, actually, but he'll destroy the city.